The story begins with a little girl who dreams of living with her family under the same roof. But since her parents divorced, by decision of the judge, the girl has to live with her father and her evil stepmother who does not want her in her house. The girl feels rejected and logically cries a lot day after day, because she feels so alone. This story happens more frequently than one thinks, and sometimes, it even seems normal. One day the situation for the girl became unbearable and her father preferred the stepmother and sent her to her mother's house on the orders of the stepmother. Although the girl was very excited to welcome the new year with her mother and sister. Everything changes when she meets her new stepfather, who is an alcoholic, and because of her, an argument begins between her stepfather and her mother, because he did not want the girl at home. The argument became so strong that her stepfather attacked the mother, and to protect her daughter, the mother sent them to her father's house and told them that she would pick them up after New Year's. As expected, the girls are also upset and it did not seem fair to them. As if that were not enough, her father sends them back, both acting as if the daughters were a ball without any value. Then, very affected, they realize that the only home she had was her small suitcase with which she always wandered the streets from one place to another. She dreams that one day she can have a cozy home and wonders who can give her the home of her dreams. Thus the years passed. Now, when she is already a teenager, a very good student and lives as always between problems. Only now she gets along very well with her father, since he divorced her stepmother. One night, when she tells her father that she has not seen her mother for a long time and that she is going to visit her, her father immediately changes his expression and tells her that her mother had a stroke and is in the hospital. As he did not want to affect her studies, he had not told her before. She immediately runs to the hospital where her aunt tells her that her stepfather is the cause of everything, since her mother found him with another woman in the same house. The worst thing is that he has not even come to visit her and, worse still, he has kept all her property. The teenager reacts with great anger and what she wants is revenge, but her aunt makes her see reason by telling her that the most important thing at that moment is her mother's health. Things begin to get complicated again for the teenager. Her mother is already conscious, but she has become paraplegic and it is necessary to leave her hospitalized, but her consumption increases every day. The teenager is thinking of leaving her studies to take care of her mother and help her sister. She is desperate because she no longer has enough money to cover the expenses. She decides to go to the house where her stepfather now lives with a new wife. She asks him for help since the one who has been paying for everything has been her own father, but he no longer has money. Obviously he is not moved and lies to her saying that the business is not going well and that if the situation improves he will send her the money. She tells him to at least give her the money since she is his mother, but her words are of no use. Some time later, he will finally be discharged, but since he no longer has anywhere to live, the father offers him his house, although he is sure that his mother will not accept, and so she did, so the daughter decided to rent a house with the help of her father. Once in her new house, the process was not easy at all. The mother feels very depressed because she feels that she is a burden and an obstacle for her daughter to study. However, the girl, with all her unconditional love, makes her mother understand that she will be able to solve the problems later on. And that she will also take care of her sister, who is not in good health. Time passes and everything becomes more difficult. She feels extremely exhausted. However, she does not lose the strength and love to make her mother feel loved and thus get her to cheer up and get out of that silence in which she is submerged. One day the girl receives very sad news. It turns out that now her father has liver cancer and is in the hospital. As expected, she immediately runs to see her father. Little by little, with affection and love, she dedicated herself to caring for her father and recovered. Fortunately, God gives her the necessary strength to continue and not neglect her studies. Until one day she can't take it anymore, and goes to her uncle's house to ask for help since her father has helped him financially, but despite that, her uncle refuses, excusing himself with being very busy at work. She gets the same answer when she communicates with her other aunt. When she already feels sad and alone, one day we see the hand of God in the life of the young girl, when two friends of her mother arrive at her house and are now members of a Christian church and have come to help her. One of them tells her about her experience when she was in pain and suffering when misfortune came to her family. She wondered the same thing, why life is so painful. But then she began to understand everything when she began to believe in God and to understand the truth of His words. Because humanity was created by God and He rules our destiny and decides our lives. This is how we can understand the things of human life. When we receive God, we feel His protection and care and we will follow the right path. He will offer us a way out and He will solve our problems, we just have to listen to Him. Since that day, mother and daughter have had the habit of reading the Word of God. The young woman and her mother feel better by reading a little of the Word of God every day, they understand more and more the why of things and their love for God grows. Thanks to this, they look happier and more radiant, and reading has been a great help to both of them. Both physically and spiritually, the family is happy and has been recovering from their illness. Happiness has returned to their lives. When the young woman has been able to go to her class and has time to study, the days go by and she still continues to meet to listen to the Word of God. There are days when the teenager has had to study a lot and daily she continues to take care of her father with great love. Meanwhile she realizes how wrong she was to think that her destiny was in her hands and that money moves the world, that those who work with their minds are rulers and those who work with their hands are ruled. She reflects on everything. What she has worked for, she worked for all her life and she sees how she is now. One day the father wakes up with unbearable pain, she calls the doctors who upon arrival try to revive him, but nothing else can be done for him and he loses his life. The young woman is totally heartbroken, and her sister tried to comfort her, but she feels very alone, bewildered and not knowing what to do, even though her mother and sister are supporting her in this very sad moment. This is in such sad moments that people find themselves and God, they become aware of the past and remember the past and are afraid of the future without that person. The depressed mother confesses to the teenager all the mistakes she made with her since she was little. She admits that he abandoned her because he was more concerned with the business than with her and asks for forgiveness. She remembers when she was sitting alone waiting to be picked up like any other orphan. She felt so guilty and wondered why her life was so sad. She says that she could never bear to see her suffer so much. The daughter takes strength and tells her mother that God will help her and protect her because without Him she could not continue living, because since she believed in God, she has spelled out His love and that of her brothers. She begins to pray because she already faithfully believes in God and asks Him to guide her and help her on the path ahead. She finally understands that she has to leave the past behind and that God is with them. And that the church is her family. Their lives become much happier since she now sees life in a different way. And when she sees the small suitcase that accompanied her all her life, she puts it aside since that is not her home because she has already found the true home. Everything that happened to me as a little girl has left a deep mark on me. Since in my personal life I was lucky enough to have an excellent stepfather for more than 25 years, he gave everything for my sisters and me, and even though everything was going well, my mother always put us as a priority before him. Until we finished raising him, he supported her in everything. We never saw a fight between my mother and him, and he was the best grandfather that my daughter and my nephew could enjoy for 9 years. Unfortunately he is no longer on earth, and thank God he is already in heaven and no longer suffers from the terrible disease called cancer. We only have to accept and thank God. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your comment if you have had a stepfather and how they have treated you.